Hi, my name is Molly. I lived van life for 3 years, but found myself very much in my comfort zone. So I wanted to expand out of that, and I worked with four-wheel campers to put a fleet flatbed model on a 2019 Toyota Tundra to go farther, harder, and now just drive over mountains. This is a pop-up. There are 6 latches on the exterior of the camper. You undo those, go inside, and then you pop up from there. It increases the headroom to about 6'4", so there's plenty of interior space. I have not gotten annoyed with the pop up and down. It took some time to get used to. I'm 5'2", so I had to get a little creative, but now I can do it in a couple minutes. Welcome to the interior of the four-wheel camper. It is 40 square feet, but it has everything you need. You have a dinette here in the back. You have a kitchen on the driver's side. On the passenger side, you have a toilet, storage, electrical. And then over the cab, you have a queen size bed, and underneath is additional storage. Over here on the passenger side is the kitchen, and it does a lot with the minimal amount of space that you have. I have a dual propane cooktop, a pretty decent sized sink, 85-liter fridge, so plenty of food for well over a week, and a large drawer for pots and pans. Each of these storage containers go all the way back to the back of the countertop. So they're very deep. Everything needs to be in containers or you'll never see it again. This one over here is the largest of them all. A lot of that is the plumbing for the sink, but you have plenty of space for extra cooking gear, your dishes, all those odds and ends. This camper has done a phenomenal job of really utilizing all of the space it has access to. Cooking in this space is pretty simple, and I have a lot of countertop. Not only is the stovetop and the sink flush mount, so this creates a flat surface all across here. Over here to my left is all my dry food storage. Pretty much everything you need in this space, and then pretty great countertops. So I can go a fairly long time with all the food that I have in this camper. I have 20 gallons of water interior to the camper, and then another 15 gallons in the flatbed tray. So about 35 gallons of water can do you for a couple weeks. With truck campers, you're always concerned about the weight, so four-wheel campers does a bamboo countertop as an option, which I really loved. In my last van, I had wood countertops as well, so keeping that was really special. With the propane, both of the propane tanks, equaling about 4 pounds, are stored exteriorly and vented, so there's not as much concern about leaking with propane here. The really great part about this truck camper is being able to go anywhere I really want to go, but having my home with me. And this home feels very much like an apartment, like a home, and not as much as a camper on the interior. It really makes a very homey vibe in here. Here in the dinette, we're in the back of the vehicle. We have a large panoramic window for all the views. I sit here to eat my meals. I also work here. Plenty of space, very comfortable. This table goes up and down and actually can be removed and placed in slots below me, and this can be a bed as well. Each of these bench seats have really deep storage, which is a huge benefit of having the flatbed model. All the things that you need to have some place to put, they go there. Underneath me is actually a full cat area. So I have a platform that hangs on ropes and has 2 legs, so it moves with the camper, but that's where the cats will hang out, and then underneath that is their litter box. Above me is one of the hard walls of the camper. There's one in the front and one in the back, and that helps keep the structure of the pop-up. To pop down and pop up, you just pull this and it will collapse. Personally, I wanted to make the space a lot more homey and represent me. So I started off as a baby, 6 months old, traveling with my dad, and then continuing to travel as a kid, and then here I am now, still traveling. I've been on the road for 3.5 years, but I've always lived in a vehicle in some capacity, I think really for my entire life. My first cross-country road trip, I was maybe 2 in our pickup truck from Alabama to California. So this is kind of just who I am. My motivation for getting on the road, for starting van life about 3.5 years ago, is I lost my eyesight. I am disabled and have always been and always will be, but I got a lot of my eyesight back with a lot of great doctors and modern medicine. That really put a fire under me to really experience life, see everything I could, and experience light and wonder. This life very much facilitates that. I feel like I have a much more active role in my life every single day with living on the road, managing all the things that you have to do to find camping spots, to make sure you have enough power and water. All of these factors are things you have to consider every single day. So there's not much in the way of passively living life. And I think taking a lot of these things into control is a great way to experience the most out of your life. I lived van life in a Ram ProMaster for 3 years. Absolutely loved it. It was a great lifestyle for a very long time. But I reached this point where I had to ask myself the question of, am I uncomfortable enough right now? How do I expand out of this? And one of the things that really pushed me to a truck is its capabilities, to be able to go down more roads, to be nimble on mountainsides, and to be able to see things in a more wild environment. And this truck was intentionally built with that in mind. I settled on four-wheel camper because of the pop-up, to be able to be small and nimble, but also really expand your interior space when you're popped up and at camp. Four-wheel camper does it really well. They've been doing it since the 70s. At the price point, they were the best option at the things that you can get within your camper. It matched me very well. Since I was a kid, I've stared at maps, I've watched documentaries about some of the further places on Earth, and being able to see those in person would be an incredible privilege. I built this truck to be that platform to get me to all of these remote places and see the world, experiencing culture, living in the best way realistically in all of these places, and do that comfortably for many years to come. I have a large queen size bed. I use a Hest mattress. And then underneath it is all my storage for clothes and odds and ends. The bed actually pulls out on these posts over here behind me and will become a king size bed. So if you want an even larger bed, you've got it. To pop up and pop down the camper, over here is one of the hard walls. Like the back, you pop it up and down, but because you can't reach it when you're popped down, you use this post to pull or push it closed. And then it just snaps up here out of the way. My first week in the camper was 30 degrees, 40-mile-an-hour winds, and just cold, wet, and also rainy as well, which is a great way to start out this life in this camper because it withheld it phenomenally. I've been up to nearly 60-mile-an-hour winds with this popped up. No issues, no concerns. As far as managing heat, you have these 4 windows up here in the pop top. The first layer is a mesh. The second layer is a clear plastic. Then the next layer is a canvas. And then the last layer is the thermal pack. So all of those layers make it pretty well insulated in here and pretty comfortable. The great thing about having all of these open is you're getting a lot of airflow, especially because we're so high up, we're getting good wind flow through here. There's also 2 max air fans that will move the air as well. I've absolutely loved sleeping in this bed. 1, it's incredibly comfortable, but 2, you're very high up. You feel like you're in a tree house. Watching sunrise or sunset from these windows from bed is like nothing else. And having 2 cats who like to perch high up, they're particularly loving it as well. Another big component of these campers that I really wanted to push was making it as homey as possible. So I used linen sheets. One of my best friends knit me this giant bird blanket. It's the coolest thing ever. And it's an incredibly homey, comfortable vibe. When you're camping in the middle of nowhere, you don't have to be uncomfortable. Here is the RedArc Red Vision battery monitor. It shows you your battery, but it also shows you water, solar, kind of all of the control mind of the camper is all controlled here, and then also on a Bluetooth app on your phone. So the full electrical components of this camper is 500 watts of solar on the roof, going to about 400 amp hours of lithium batteries in this compartment. I also have a DC to DC charger, so plenty of power for nearly forever off grid. It does have shore power if I have low days. I have a pretty robust internet setup that I 12 volt wired, so it pulls not very much power. That includes this Peplink router that has multiple ports for SIM cards, as well as Starlink wired directly into it. I work full time and on my computer a lot and need to have a lot of power. And that was kind of one of the non-negotiables for me. So I put as much power as I could in this camper and have loved it so far. More components on this side of the camper. I have a heater that is run through propane. Also underneath me, I have a carbon monoxide alarm that is directly wired into a reserve battery for the camper. So if I run out of power, not to worry. Over here, I have the controller for the heater, and then underneath, I also have a control for hot water as well. It's all run through propane and pretty much instantaneous. Great thing about the heater is you set a temperature and it will stick to the temperature. And even though I have partially fabric walls, it retains heat really well in here. A nice little tip when you have some of this open space here, make little bags, especially for your onions and garlic. If you're storing it with your other produce, it will make your other produce go bad quicker. Store them separately. I have these pouches for cords, remote controls. It's easily accessible, but also not really in the way. The truck is a 2019 Toyota Tundra. I beefed up the suspension with custom springs. I put on bigger wheels and tires. Also, it can hold the weight of the camper. The tray is a Norweld flatbed that I put the 4-wheel camper Fleet flatbed model on top of. I picked the Fleet flatbed model because it fit the proportions of the Toyota Tundra really well. It's very tight on the tray with minimal overhang on the cab. I removed the traditional bed of the truck and put the Norweld tray on, which has 5 exterior boxes for significantly more storage than a traditional slide-in camper. One of the incredible privileges of travel is it constantly questions you. It challenges your predispositions for how life should be or how life is. That's why I travel. I travel to see the world. I travel to experience as much as I can, but I also travel to push myself, to build my repertoire of just knowledge and sight memory. I lived a while without sight at all, and I still navigate that today. But being able to appreciate every single thing that I see and the people that I meet along the way has only had positive impacts. You become very adaptable, and I think that's an incredible thing to be, and able to live a really cool, full life, one to write stories about, one to share with the world, and there's no downsides to that. I think that's a positive. So to see all my travel stories, pictures, videos, all of that stuff, you can follow me at Scenic Roads on Instagram.